single day.
Punta Gorda Police Department. Case Supplemental Report printed, July 18, 2019, 16:55. OCA, 190-1082. The information below is confidential, for use by authorized personnel only. Case status, open/active. Case MNG status, open/active. Offense, stalking after injunction for protection. Occurred, March 5, 2019. Investigator, Cochran, Terria, 456, date/time, June 3, 2019, 15:58 and 15 seconds, Monday. Supervisor, Cochran, Terria, 456, Supervisor review date/time, July 18, 2019, midnight, Thursday. Contact, reference, supplement. As previously documented in PGPD stalking report, on March 5, 2019 Judge Mary Evans granted the protection injunction requested with Ian McGuire as the respondent. The protection injunction was made permanent. A copy of the SOW case package and final injunction was placed in the file for future reference. Ian McGuire filed motions to dissolve the injunction on March 5, 2019, which was denied on March 19. At this time he was served with 2 criminal citations for stalking in regards to the investigation. He was also served with a contempt citation for not turning his guns over or filing an affidavit denying possession of them. He filed additional motions to dissolve on March 19 and March 21 after filing a report with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. On March 26, 2019, Lieutenant Terry A. Cochran met with the stalking victim from incident and her employer were extremely upset and were asking for guidance and direction on reporting Ian McGuire for continuing to cyberstalk and harass through his page by pinning her personal information to the top of his comments sections below his videos, which were also derogatory and harassing in nature towards her. She stated after Ian McGuire dragged her back into court on March 19 in an effort to set aside the injunction issued on March 5 and was denied, he pinned her personal address on his channel page. She feared this would cause her to start receiving harassing mail as well. She advised he posted a video where she works on March 22, 2019. She stated fecal matter was dumped on their booth site at the farmers market on March 23. Land comments in one of his videos posted on March 22 stated. She advised since the pinnings of her personnel and work info she has been receiving threatening harassing phone calls at home and work. Further stated, after having her work phone and address pinned by Ian McGuire on his channel, her employer began receiving false negative reviews on their site, all directed at to include rudeness and inappropriate sexual conduct. Multiple obscene phone calls referencing her are being received by at her employment as well as all the other employees who answer the phones there. Lieutenant Cochran previously observed. Help states the creator is allowed to pin a comment to the top of their comments page for the purpose of promoting it and making the information in it available above all other comments each time the channel comments page is opened. The creator also has the ability to remove comments at any time on their comments page. It was noted was not restrained by the order, however she again stated she had never made a phone call to Ian McGuire and he must have been spoofing her number to his phone to show deputies. This was supported by phone records supplied by her manager where she works to Lieutenant Cochran via email. The records showed no outgoing calls from the business to Ian McGuire's phone and showed deputies. The report and the phone records were placed in the file for future reference. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0006. Page 6. Through the domestic violence clerk, she was advised to file a petition with the clerk's office outlining the violations she was alleging had occurred and to file it with their office. Lieutenant Cochran assisted her with information and records to be able to complete her affidavit for the clerk. Filed her affidavit the same day. A copy of the violation petition was placed in the file. Lieutenant Cochran requested report all instances of harassment or threats to the so they could obtain the items and document the incidents in their jurisdictions. On April 8, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran received a copy of the initial report taken by the residents regarding the package of sex toys delivered there. Detective Adam Taylor advised he had been assigned the case and would be coordinating the incidents occurring in their jurisdiction. A copy of the Report 1 was placed in the file for future reference. On April 11, 2019, both cyber stalking investigation was opened. Provided sworn recorded statements. At that time and anew. Stated there were multiple instances where her personal information was posted on the page by various commenters, and the comment was then posted to the top of the page by Ian McGuire and left there for the purpose of displaying it for his followers to use to harass her. She stated her work address, both work numbers, her personal cell phone number and her personal residential address had been pinned. Different video comment sections. She stated her work phone, her name, and business name was posted on March 19 after he was denied in the hearing. She stated her boss, business cell phone number was pinned in a February 17 video. She stated on March 24 her home address was pinned and the comment included the phrase effectively stating "send her fan mail." Soon after that posting she stated she started receiving multiple harassing items such as notes, sex toys, manure and other items she turned into police unopened. She stated to date 6 packages were received. Along with the packages she also began receiving vulgar obscene phone calls about the sex toys she received being used on her. She stated the calls were being received on her personal phone, work phones and business cell phone. She stated multiple fraudulent reviews were being posted. She works for website. She advised the reviews named her, accused her of being a sexual predator among other things. She stated her co-workers were receiving vulgar and obscene calls and others demanding she be fired. She stated her manager would not call the police to report the incidents because they did not want to draw the company into the affray with Ian McGuire. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0007. Page 7. Stated she has never used the name and has always gone by. She stated all the pinned info and phone calls refer to her as, so she knows it is coming from Ian McGuire and the records he has obtained from the courts. She again stated the March 22 video Ian McGuire posted of him filing the false police report claiming she called him violating the order was disproved by the phone records received. Before that, on February 27, 2019, a copy of the shot was placed in the file. Lieutenant Cochran had also noted in a video posted on February 14, 2019. Examples of these were placed in the file for future research and reference. She stated the harassing phone calls she is receiving were coming in with spoofed numbers showing they were Punta Gorda police or where she works. She stated she had received as many as 29 calls in one day so far. Stated her manager gets multiple obscene and threatening emails telling her to fire her if they want the calls to stop. She advised a customer by the name of Robert Skidmore called her manager with obscene language demanding she fire for discriminating against customers. Stated he gave his rewards number to identify himself when he called, so they cancelled it so he could not stay there in the future. She advised other co-workers such as and the night auditor also receive these types of calls daily. She stated on her personal phone she gets calls and messages with pig sounds and calling her a pig-loving cunt. She stated they are spoofing numbers from the Punta Gorda Police Department and with people posing as officers and co-workers trying to get her to come to meetings or work because other people called in sick. I stated she has been and remains under severe emotional distress since all of this started. She stated she cannot sleep, worries constantly about, and now that they know her address she is constantly looking and expecting harm. Stated none of the calls or packages started until Ian McGuire pinned her info on his video. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0008. Page 8. Channel along with the harassing videos about her. She stated one of the packages she received through the mail at her home contained fecal matter similar to the large pile of fecal matter delivered and dropped at their booth site on March 23 and referred to in a comment on Ian McGuire's posted March 22 by Bald Pupper. She stated he is instigating all of the harassment by pinning the information about her and one. She stated she has filed complaints with and reported the pinned information being a violation of the injunction but has not had success in getting the channel taken down. She stated he is definitely directing people through the pinned information and other means if he is not carrying them out himself. Produced her phone and played back messages from multiple calls received over the past few days. They contained pig sounds, obscenities, threats and screams. LT Cochran observed one particular call with the number spoofed from where she works received on April 10, 2019 at 7:07 p.m. sounded like Bretton Osborne trying to conceal his voice. She stated received a call on her work cell phone that was so dark she would not let her listen to it. The sworn recorded statement including the calls, numbers, and times of the calls were placed in the file for future reference. Lieutenant Cochran noted that in the CCSO phone report filed by Ian McGuire on March 21 the documentation, photos of phone log, shows the name Skidmore appear on the log before the call he allegedly received from T. Robert Skidmore. The customer leaving the obscene demand for firing is a local resident and thought to be an associate of Ian McGuire. Ian McGuire is listed as a friend on Robert Skidmore's Facebook page. A screenshot was placed in the file for future reference. Confirmed she was with when she filed the petition alleging Ian McGuire was violating his protective injunction by pinning her personal information in the videos he posts. She stated they have been going after her to get to cause they know she works for them. She stated her work address and phone number have been pinned in the videos as well, causing her to get obscene disturbing calls, messages and harassment on her phone, business Facebook and business website. Advised she never responds to comments and has stopped letting her phone go to voicemail because the messages have been so disturbing and debilitating. She stated now she answers, turns the volume down and lets the call complete so she does not hear them. Stated actually got a package in her mailbox that had been addressed to her and she did not know how that happened. She advised it was reported to investigator signature. Supervisor signature initial discovery 0009. Page 9. She stated she notices that with each new video and new pins a wave of calls and harassment follows. Played a message received on her phone April 6 showing from 941-639-3720 at 1:12 p.m. and could tell it was meant for. She stated it had upset her so bad to the point of tears the first time she would have to leave the room while it is playing. Lieutenant Cochran noted the call was from a male that sounded like Ian McGuire in a voice he uses to taunt people in his videos. Stated she knows Ian McGuire's voice from the videos and is sure he was the one who left the obscene message. She stated her work and business sites including social media were being affected. She stated she has reported the calls and comments to Detective Adam Taylor as well. Stated the harassment being placed on her and has been disabling for her, but the amount of pressure on was horrific. She stated they call day and night, she is afraid to open her mailbox, and it has been devastating to her health as well. She advised is one of the best people in the world and would do anything for you, so it is unbelievable what is happening. The sworn recorded statement was placed in the file for future reference along with the phone message from April 6, 2019. Lieutenant Cochran noted the spoofed number used for the April 6 message belonged to the Punta Gorda Chamber of Commerce. On April 2, 2019 Ian McGuire had attempted to video harass the chamber over the fact that the farmers market now leased their space from the city, allowing them to trespass individuals such as himself that try to disrupt it. They would not let him in their offices. He posted a video of the incident on that date. Even though Ian McGuire had multiple times announced on his feed that he was back up and running with his channel after, took down his channel for bullying, Lieutenant Cochran observed a document that indicated was in the name of Richard Lemon of 21337 Higgs Avenue, Rich Lemon 1964@gmail.com, 863-517-1966. Screenshots of the announcements and the document were placed in the file for future reference. Lieutenant Cochran noted when Ian McGuire filed his phone complaint report on March 21 he listed his personal phone number as 863-517-1966, the same as the owner number listed in the previously mentioned document. Lieutenant Cochrane observed that Richard Lemon appeared with Ian McGuire at some of the injunction hearings along with Jeffrey Lustish and Bretton Osborne to include the final hearing on May 7, 2019. At that hearing Jeffrey. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature initial discovery 0010. Page 10. Lustish attempted to surreptitiously video detectives NL in the hallway before and after the hearing in violation of the new court rules recently adopted at the complex. On April 12, 2019, Lieutenant Cochrane was viewing the police department's video for March 29, 2019, the day Ian McGuire, Bretton Osborne, and Jeffrey Lustish came in to obtain the report concerning the fecal matter being left in the farmers market area. In a video posted March 29, 2019 by Ian McGuire on his in a high-tone voice Ian began he then continued saying. On March 23, 2019 Jerry Presseller had reported to police that a pile of fecal matter had been deposited on the street near the space that is normally occupied by where employed one. Jerry Presseller believed it was deliberately placed there to harass because of her restraining order issued earlier in the month on Ian McGuire. The fecal matter had been removed prior to officers arriving. Since that time the report was released, Mr. Presseller had been the target of constant obscene phone harassment and voicemail hijacking. Most of the calls centered on the incident or him renting the area from the city to restrict activities inside the market. Lieutenant Cochrane observed in the video that Ian McGuire interacted with the PG Fire Department front office representative Skip Powell. During that interaction Skip Powell was seen writing something down while talking to Ian McGuire. Lieutenant Cochrane inquired with Mr. Powell about the incident and was shown a note he wrote with an email address. He stated Ian McGuire asked. The note was placed into evidence and a copy was placed in the file. Forwarded 3 phone messages received by her, one of which called her a cunt and stated they were going to rape if she didn't drop the protection injunction. The calls were reported to Detective Taylor as well and copies were placed in this file. Ian McGuire filed a second report with the CCSO alleging upon receiving a copy of the report and attachments Lieutenant Cochrane again noticed a Skidmore phone entry on Ian McGuire's phone prior to the alleged call by. A copy of the report was placed in the file for future reference. On April 13, detectives had noticed that a user Shandiruth had become vocal in the comment section on an April 13 video posting about continuously calling to harass her. Corporal Martin Meddaw obtained a subpoena from the state attorney's office and served it the same day on. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature initial discovery. Page 11. Custodians for any and all account information on the user Shandiruth. It was later determined Shandiruth was a Miami, Florida resident. The data received from the subpoena was placed in the file for future reference. On April 15, 2019 Jerry Presseller met with Lieutenant Terry A. Cochrane to share some of the ongoing obscene harassing messages he had received since his complaint report was provided to Ian McGuire, Bretton Osborne, and Jeffrey Lustish on March 29, 2019 at the PGPD Records section. In a video posted by Ian McGuire on his channel both Ian McGuire and Bretton Osborne. In a high-tone voice Ian began saying he then continued saying. Mr. Presseller stated along with the hijacking of his voicemail account earlier reported he has been receiving multiple calls every day that are usually obscene and talk about or his renting the area of the farmers market from the city. He presented his phone and the call log displaying 17 previous voice messages was photographed and later placed in the file under the messages started on April 14 at approximately 8:45 p.m. and continued until 1:18 p.m. on April 15 just before he reached the police department. Mr. Presseller stated he could not answer his phone anymore due to the harassing calls and he lets everything go to voicemail to screen them. The calls were played and audio recorded then later placed in the file under the cyber stalking case. The calls were overall obscene in nature. They referred to, numerous times as well as the renting of the farmer market area from the city. All calls were spoofed under the numbers of ND the Where Works. Callers' voices were changed physically or electronically however on several the voice sound like that of Ian McGuire and the phrase used numerous times throughout the calls. The harassing phone calls started within a couple of hours of Ian McGuire, Bretton Osborne, and Jeffrey Lustish obtaining the PGPD report on March 29. Mr. Presseller advised that during the farmers' market on Saturday, April 13, 2019, a white male identifying as a supporter of Ian McGuire approached him about Ian's guns being taken away. He then asked about investigator's signature. Supervisor's signature, initial discovery 0012. Page 12. Who was also at the market that day. He stated the male was scruffy looking and stated he was from another state, but he could not remember the state he named. Lieutenant Cochran verified by phone that she was approached by an Ian McGuire supporter at the market on April 13. She advised he confronted her about taking Ian's guns away. Through research of a video posted on and an Ian McGuire post on, Lieutenant Cochran was able to determine a male by the name of had contacted Ian McGuire as a follower of his channel and accepted an invitation to come down to see him. Due to immediate safety concerns, photograph was provided in an effort to identify the man who approached her at the market. She advised he was the person who confronted her about Ian McGuire. Videos and screenshots of the related items were placed in the file for future reference. Lieutenant Cochran made a comparison recording, Mr. Presseller on April 14, 2019 and posted on the channel by Ian McGuire on March 29, 2019 for future reference. The voice and phrasing sounded the same. It was placed in the file for future reference along with a copy of the related report. On April 17, Detective Corporal Martin Meddaw provided with an account/preservation letter for the account of Ian McGuire. On April 19, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran provided an account/data preservation letter for the channel through the LERS portal. On April 23, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran received and served subpoenas from the State Attorney Office for the phone records of Jerome Presseller, Sprint. Lieutenant Cochran attended the protection injunction hearing as Ian McGuire was trying to have it dissolved based on his claims of L calling him. The hearing was postponed due to Ian McGuire. Lieutenant Cochran observed Bretton Osborne in the courtroom and noticed he had shaved his beard. Lieutenant Cochran knew that he had the beard for several years and thought it unusual. Lieutenant Cochran noticed for the first time Bretton Osborne was now wielding the video camera for Ian McGuire and investigator's signature. Supervisor's signature, initial discovery 0013. Page 13. He pursued the detectives and down the hallways after the hearing ended. Lieutenant Cochran was advised she had caught someone on her doorstep the previous day, and when she confronted them they rushed back to their vehicle. Detective Taylor, also at the hearing, was meeting with after the hearing for reporting purposes of the confrontation she had at her residence on April 22, among other things, such as additional harassing packages, Craigslist ads and late-night visits by taxi drivers. Lieutenant Cochran received photographs from of the vehicle the person was using along with a photograph of him through the windshield. Lieutenant Cochran recognized the Toyota SUV as the one parked at Bretton Osborne's residence, 4160 Harbor Boulevard, on a daily basis. The vehicle was registered to his father, Stephen Osborne. Lieutenant Cochran recognized the driver as Bretton Osborne by his facial structure and distinct beard. Lieutenant Cochran then realized Bretton Osborne had shaved his beard to change his appearance so would not recognize him from the confrontation. On April 25, 2019, Stephen Osborne, Bretton's father, came to the police department to speak with Lieutenant Cochran. Detectives had left a card at his office the previous day while trying to locate Bretton Osborne, who worked at the same Wells Fargo Financial Advisors Company at 420 BAL Harbor Boulevard in Punta Gorda. Detectives had been told by the branch manager James Lovell at that time Bretton was no longer with the company. Mr. Osborne stated the Toyota SUV seen at the residence was registered to him but primarily driven by his son Bretton Osborne. He stated he had not driven it in the recent past and that it is Bretton's primary mode of transportation. Mr. Osborne stated Bretton was destined to take over his part of the financial company as he was soon retiring, but over the last few months Bretton had become involved with Ian McGuire and had completely lost all perspective. He stated BRETTON really wanted his job back, and as of yesterday he ended his relationship with Ian McGuire yesterday. Mr. Osborne asked if he needed to have BRETTON come to the police department, he would. He stated it was still his vehicle even though BRETTON drives it and maintains it, so he would take it back if he continued to use it in these activities. He asked to be notified if police observed him still participating with Ian McGuire in the future. He stated he has been out of the office loop lately and it appeared BRETTON was not taking care of his business. He stated he was called to task over that and someone came in the office a month earlier complaining about BRETTON's activity. It was determined through the conversation it was Tom Scott with the county government, CCSO case on file. He stated at that time they confronted BRETTON and he was defiant. He stated he was spending more time at work doing outside record searches and watching videos related to Ian McGuire business. He expressed a desire to get him back in the business and back on track, but his partner had to agree to take him back. He stated if BRETTON came in he would be with him. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0014. Page 14. On April 28, 2019, Ian McGuire and BRETTON Osborne video recorded themselves walking around the downtown Punta Gorda area, video harassing individuals on the street and at restaurants with a provocative sign "Happy Fuck the Cops Day." During the course of this they ended at the Burger Bar, 317 Tamiami Trail, with Ian McGuire calling police to report someone threw water on him as he video recorded customers on the patio area. A disturbance report was taken by officers to be forwarded to the state attorney's office as Ian McGuire was seeking battery charges against the individual. Ian McGuire agreed to give his SD card of video to officers for evidence. Prior to allowing them to have it, he placed it in a laptop computer to copy the data for storage. Officers reviewed the recorded data submitted by Ian McGuire and observed there was multiple raw videos from different locations over a period of time including that day. The raw data show Ian McGuire conducting his video harassment for that day with BRETTON Osborne as his cameraman, and it was obvious by their words and actions they were attempting to get people to react in a violent or uncontrolled manner so they could use it for entertainment on his. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0016. Page 16. The data on the card and downloaded prior to it being turned over indicated Ian McGuire records and stores the video data from his harassments on SD cards inside the camera and downloads them to other peripheral electronic devices for future use and editing purposes. This was further proven as Ian McGuire posted an edited version of the activities that day on his One channel, May 10, 2019, minus the instigating statements made by them and Burger Bar's address and phone number pinned at the top. The SD card was later transferred by Lieutenant Cochran from the disturbance investigation to this investigation as evidence. Copies of the video data from the SD card was placed in the file for future reference. A comment posted in relation to the post of the Burger Bar video was made by local Shane Federici. He essentially declared allegiance to Ian McGuire's cause and stated to let him know where he was going to be next so he could join him. Ian McGuire responded. A screenshot was placed in the file for future reference. On April 29, 2019, Lieutenant Terry A. Cochran called BRETTON Osborne's father Stephen Osborne, 941-380-1886, as requested should Lieutenant Cochran find BRETTON had begun associating with Ian McGuire again since the conversation on April 25, 2019 at the police department. BRETTON Osborne had appeared with Ian McGuire in the previously mentioned day of walking throughout Punta Gorda harassing individuals and eatery customers, ending with the police being called over an alleged battery by a customer on Ian McGuire. There was no answer and a message was left with the information. Shortly after, Lieutenant Cochran received a phone call, 941-380-1992, from Charlene Osborne, BRETTON's mother. She stated she is estranged from Stephen Osborne and staying in the Panhandle with her other son. She stated she could not sleep and was on social media when she saw photographs of BRETTON and Ian McGuire together over the weekend doing their video stuff and people commenting very negatively about it. And she thinks he is being unduly influenced by Ian McGuire or taken advantage of. She stated she is worried because Bretton owns an arsenal of weapons to include rifles, shotguns, and pistols. She does not think there are assault-type weapons in his collection but stated he had been collecting them since he was 18 years old. She stated there is the possibility that he is also keeping Ian McGuire's weapons as well due to the injunction. She explained Bretton has always been defiant of authority as early as the 4th grade. She stated he is very smart but currently. A copy of the conversation was placed in the file for future reference. Later in the day Stephen Osborne called back and then brought Bretton into the office again. At which time Lieutenant Cochran escorted him out of the building. Mr. Osborne. Investigator signature, supervisor signature, initial discovery 0017. Page 17. Followed and no further discussion was had. Lieutenant Cochran researched video data involving Bretton Osborne associated with, to determine how he became involved and found that during a mail call video posted by Ian McGuire on March 25, 2019. This is when Bretton Osborne first became personally affiliated with Ian McGuire. On March 29, 2019, Bretton Osborne appears in the lobby with Ian McGuire and Jeffrey Lustish as previously discussed to obtain a Report 1 in order to get Jerry Presseller's information. He did not participate in obtaining the report but was captured on the department video and can be heard on Ian McGuire's video posted that same day. On April 4, 2019, Bretton Osborne appears at the requesting any report filed by with Ian McGuire video recording him. He is pixelated in the video to conceal his identity. Lobby video data was obtained and verified it was Bretton Osborne who obtained the report with personal information. On April 8, 2019, Bretton Osborne appeared at the State Agriculture Office in requesting information for Ian McGuire. He again is pixelated in the video but recognizable physically and by voice. He requests information concerning Ian McGuire who is also present video recording. On April 12, 2019, Ian McGuire posted a video as he filed the second false phone report placed in the file for reference, alleging Elle called him from her personal phones. Again he provided his phone to the deputy to document the numbers on the log and again the name Skidmore appeared on the log as well. Bretton Osborne. Bretton Osborne, freshly shaven, appeared at the following injunction dissolution hearing dates of April 23, 2019 as the cameraman for Ian McGuire and on May 7, 2019 as a witness to the alleged phone call from April 12, 2019. He followed the victim down the hallway with a video camera in an attempt to intimidate her as she was leaving after a continuance on April 23 and left suddenly before testifying on May 5. Coincidentally, his father appeared at the end of the hearing to see if he was in the courtroom. Also appearing at the investigator's signature. Supervisor signature, initial discovery 0018. Page 18. Hearing of May 7 was Jeffrey Lustish and Richard Lemon. The judge denied the order stating Ian McGuire's testimony was not credible. On May 5, 2019, Ian McGuire and Bretton Osborne as cameraman once again visited the Burger Bar with another provocative sign, "The food sucks here, fuck Burger Bar," in an effort once again to get people to go off on camera for entertainment purposes. During the encounter he became involved with a member of the band playing outside there. Ian McGuire phoned the police to report the band member threatened him with a gun and claimed to be a police officer. Responding officers filed the report placed in the file for future reference, for an improper display of a weapon to be presented to the state attorney's office for a warrant request. Ian McGuire again presented his SD card of raw video data to officers for evidence after downloading info from it on a laptop. Lieutenant Cochran later viewed the video data submitted and again observed there were unedited videos of some of the previous videos posted by Ian McGuire on his channel. One of the videos dated March 8, 2019, 3 days after the protection injunction was made permanent, shows Ian McGuire accompanied by a male named Donnie who serves as his cameraman. Ian McGuire uses a rolling measuring device and tries to find a spot outside of the 500-foot restriction where he can hold a sign that reads "Fuck the old fat bitch." Donnie responds it should be a good one. Donnie responds he was sure they could do something. Ian McGuire then spits on the farmer's market sign at Olympia and Sullivan St. He takes a second measurement from that location and then states he then measures to CJ parking lot on US 41 and afterwards states to Donnie, as they pass the city restrooms at Herald CT, he states to Donnie. On May 1, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran received the subpoenaed phone records of Bretton Osborne from Verizon. The records were placed in the file for future research and reference. During the week of May 13, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran observed that neither Bretton Osborne's silver Toyota SUV nor his girlfriend Brittany Fining's silver Kia were parked at their residence at 4160 Harbor Boulevard as they had been for the past several weeks. Bretton Osborne had started associating with Ian McGuire. On May 16, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran observed Ian McGuire's scooter parked in the driveway of Bretton Osborne's residence at 7:45 a.m. with no other cars parked in the driveway once again. Photographs were taken and later placed in the investigative folder. Investigator signature, supervisor signature, initial discovery. Page 19. On May 19, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran was notified by that Murdoch stones etc. dropped a large pile of, what was later identified as seawall rock, in her driveway on Saturday while she was out of town and was home. She forwarded photographs of the rock in her driveway and confirmed she had reported the incident to the A. Photograph of the invoice was also sent and it was from the 590 Pineville location in Port Charlotte. The invoice showed they paid $227.60 total for the rock and delivery. On May 20, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran and Corporal Meddaw met with Murdoch Stone sales manager Brian McVetti at the Pineville location. He stated his wife Janice McVetti took the order for the delivery over the phone on Friday. The number appearing on the caller ID was 570-337-2475. He stated his wife told him the person sounded really old and was a male. He stated they called twice because one of the original card numbers provided over the phone was incorrect. One prepaid card ending in 8590 was charged $200 and the other, a Visa ending in 6449, was charged the remaining $27.60. One call occurred at 10:54 a.m. and one at 11:06 a.m. with the other card number. Mr. McVetti provided copies of the receipts but could not advise the entire card numbers because they shred them after taking the order. Mr. McVetti stated his credit card vendor was Total Merchant Services, 1-888-848-6825, and the merchant number was. He stated his wife was not available but would be in the office on May 21. Lieutenant Cochran was made aware in the May 20 morning staff meeting that Ian McGuire and Bretton Osborne had been at the police department on May 17, 2019, with Ian carrying a sign saying "Fuck these pigs" while standing on US 41 with Bretton Osborne video recording him. It was observed that Bretton and Ian drove into the lot of the police station in a 1995 black Jeep Wrangler bearing Florida LMQD 56. The registration came back to Bretton Osborne at his 4160 Harbor Boulevard address and was active American Samoa of May 17, 2019. The vehicle was previously owned by Edward Fining, his girlfriend's father, who lives at 213 Corumba Street in Deep Creek. The incident event report and a copy of the CAD report was placed in the file for future reference. The description of the vehicle with the photograph from the PGPD security cameras was provided to Detective Adam Taylor for future reference. The stills and the video were later placed in the investigative file. It was noted in the video that Ian and Bretton again visited the burger bar after leaving the police department that day. While videoing harassing customers on the patio, Ian McGuire once again, upon encountering older people during his harassments. On May 21, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran met. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature, initial discovery 0020. Page 20. During the course of the meeting, NP Detective Adam Taylor advised Bretton Osborne had been photographed mailing 8 of the harassing packages received by at her home. In one of the photographs from April 6, 2019, Ian McGuire could be seen in the background. Lieutenant Cochran received a message from shortly after leaving the meeting advising she had just received a package addressed to, and it appeared to her there was blood on the package. She stated she put it in a plastic bag and was holding it for further instructions from Detective Taylor. Ian McGuire later posted the video and a copy was placed in the tile for future reference. Lieutenant Cochran spoke with a customer service representative at Total Merchant Services in an effort to obtain the entire credit card numbers used to purchase the stone delivery at the residence. Customer service provided an email address, executives@nabancard.com, and advised they would respond with subpoena instructions for the information requested. An email was sent requesting those instructions. Lieutenant Cochran received notification from Detective Taylor that the bloody package received by contained a dead kitten. A copy of the photograph depicting the package was placed in the file for future reference. On May 21, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran sent inquiries to 16 phone spoofing companies for numbers receiving spoof calls during the investigation to include cell number and work number at the work cell number and Jerry Presseller's cell number. They were as follows: Bluff My Call, Caller ID for You, Caller ID Faker, Covered Calling, Crazy Call, Itelas, Phone Gangster, Phone Notify, Prank Dial, Smart, Spoofer, Spoof Card, Spoof Tell, Telespoof, Trace Bust, and Trap Call. A copy of the list and contact information was placed in the file for future reference. On May 23, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran received a subpoena from the State Attorney's Office and forwarded it to Intellas for any relatable information in their files. Ian McGuire's cell number and the business number at Murdoch Stones etc. were added for relatable information as well. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0021. Page 21. On May 29, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran received a subpoena from the State Attorney's Office and forwarded it to Prank Dial for any relatable information in their files. Ian McGuire's cell number and the business number at Murdoch Stones etc. were added for relatable information as well. Lieutenant Cochran was made aware that Ian McGuire was contacted by another self-proclaimed auditor out of Colorado by the name of. Was made aware of a comment posted to the channel from an individual who claimed to be coming to Southwest Florida and incite riots over the trespass video at the CCSO depicted in video. The subject stated he was staying for posterity. Officers took that as an implication he would try, and while on the phone she stated another Craigslist ad was taken in her name and people showed up at her residence jumping the fence claiming to be looking for free lawn mowers. She stated she reported the incident. Throughout March, April, and May, continuously received harassing obscene phone calls on her work numbers, personal phone, and associates' phones. She also received multiple harassing packages of sex toys, fecal matter, rotten fruit, and other items to threaten her. Many service businesses were sent to her home et al. Investigator signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0022. Page 22. Hours of the day and night to intimidate and harass. Several ads were placed which influenced people to come on her property day and night for items with the intention of intimidating her. Mrs. reported these incidents to the police department, who document and collected all associated evidence from their jurisdiction to include her cell phone for historical value. On June 3, 2019, Lieutenant Cochran provided a copy of the case file and all related attachments to. Lieutenant Cochran began researching the phone records of Bretton Osborne specifically as they were related to the April 22, 2019 date he was caught by in her driveway taking photographs of her front door. Detective Taylor reported the photographs ran HV driveway at 10:39 a.m. and he departed at 11:03 a.m. Lieutenant Cochran was made aware mailing the package containing the dead kitten to. Indicated she first noticed Bretton in her. Had secured photographs and video of Bretton Osborne. Lieutenant Cochran was made aware that Bretton Osborne had recently spent time in North Carolina with his mother. Deputies had been called to the residence prior to this as his girlfriend Brittany Fining was collecting her property to move out and away from Bretton. During this same period, Bretton had his father Stephen trespassed from his residence. It was unknown if Bretton was still associating by electronic means or in person with Ian McGuire during his trip and after his return. In an effort to establish the current time relationship between the two, Lieutenant Cochrane again subpoenaed Bretton Osborne's phone records from the end of the last subpoena, April 23 to present. The subpoena was issued via fax to Verizon at 4:28 p.m. A copy was placed in the file. Investigator's signature. Supervisor signature. Initial discovery 0023. Page 23. The witnesses reported harassing, threatening phone calls as early as 1:30 a.m. During a later recorded interview under the case stated she began receiving the early morning harassment by phone, so she knew by past history a new video had probably been posted on Ian's channel. When she looked online a short time later, she discovered the new video, up and running. Ian McGuire pinned that comment section to the top of his page to promote the message contained within. Harassing calls increased, as did the threats. Multiple fake police and fire service calls were spoofed to the witnesses' homes, as were services and food. The investigation continued under the case for witness tampering. It was noted in that investigation that while multiple fake police calls were being made to Andrew Sheets' residence, CCSO was dispatched to Ian McGuire's residence as a probable source of the calls. On approach, deputies reported hearing two males laughing and until they knocked on the door, at which time the house went quiet. Bretton Osborne's black Jeep was in the driveway. Also during the investigation, witnesses began receiving packages in the mail to include sex toys and a cigar box full of feces. On June 22, 2019, Ian McGuire posted a new video on his channel. In it he dressed as and ridiculed her throughout the video. The video was being videoed by a second party who spoke once during it, and the voice was recognized as that of Bretton Osborne. On June 26, 2019, based on the joint investigation in this incident, Detectives Cochrane and Taylor obtained a warrant charging Bretton Osborne with 8 counts of tampering with a witness, 1 count of harassing a witness, and 1 count of stalking. The warrant was issued by the Honorable Judge Donald Mason. Investigator's signature. Supervisor's signature. Initial discovery 0024. Page 24. A short time later, Bretton Osborne was taken into custody by CCSO deputies on the Punta Gorda arrest warrant for witness tampering, harassing, and stalking. Bretton Osborne's phone was in his possession and seized from him at that time, pending a search warrant being sought for its contents. Both Bretton Osborne and Ian McGuire were transported to the CCSO Mid-District Office. Investigator's signature. Supervisor's signature. Initial discovery 0025. Page 25.
Hey Sheriff County, this is Sheriff County COPWATCH. I am using any video here with under fair use. If you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc., and please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.